So, good morning, everybody. This is Robert Gauthier. I was with Philippe on How to Know Bible Prophecy, but Philippe has to stop for a while, maybe for about a year, maybe a year and a half. But we should come back later on to this. Meanwhile, Philippe and I, we came out with a different way of doing things. I would do it on my own now, and I will do my own editing. And Philippe has been spending a lot of hours with me to do this, how to edit. And for me, it's not easy, but we will progress. We will progress, and eventually we'll be in control. Okay, so I would like again give thanks to Philippe Paquette, How to Know Bible Prophecy. He has been a great help, like I said. And now we move on to something different. The only thing different is that it's going to be shorter, and there won't be a second person to talk to, a host like Philip was. It's going to be a brand new channel, and it's called Bible Prophecy. No, excuse me, Prophecy Spotlight. I got to get accustomed to that. So it's Prophecy Spotlight. The reason for the name is that we want to do some spotlights here and there on prophetic events, prophetic chapters. And we're going to be about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, let's say maximum. We'll try to keep that span time so that people can listen to it. It's not a long discourse. It's going to be short. We hope it's going to be sweet. And most of all, that it builds up your acquaintance with the Lord Jesus Christ. So we will now proceed. This will be our 12th presentation. We had 11 on How to Know Bible Prophecy, and this is just a transfer. So we're continuing. We're keeping the numbers. So people who want to go from the start, because at the start we gave a lot of basic teachings. So you could start from number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. So now we're at number 12. And the title of this 12th edition is The Two Witnesses. I'm just picking up, I'm just looking at chapter 11, Revelation chapter 11. I won't be reading the verse. I'll just pick up here and there. But if you want to read chapter 11, it will be from verse 1 to verse 13. Okay, chapter 11, verse 1 to 13. Now, like I say, it's a spotlight, so we're going to pick up a few things. Chapter 11 is part of what we call a parenthesis. After the sixth seal, there is a parenthesis. Okay. Matter of fact, there are 1, 2, 3 parentheses in Revelation. They come in between the 6th and 7th seal. The other one comes in between the 6th and 7th trumpet, and the other one comes in between the 6th and 7th. How is it called in English? Call them a cup there, a veal or a cup. So you get 3 of those. Now, the first one we're getting, it starts at chapter 10, and it will end at 11:14, chapter 11, verse 14. So this is a parenthesis. I might say it is like a prophetic jump. Okay, God is leading us to something that's going to happen. It's like He's opening up the curtains to see the background of the stage, as it were. You know, He did that in chapter at the end of chapter 6, after the 6th seal. And then we came into contact. He opened the curtain there for a while. We came into contact with what we call the 144 seals of all the tribes of Israel. So what God is actually doing in this parenthesis, he's showing us that before all these judgments come in, he is going to separate for himself a people. There are 12,000 from every tribe of Israel. And then he goes to a multitude, later on he goes, a multitude that could not be counted. So this is the nations that will also come in. There will be a lot of nations or remnant of nations that will be saved. Well, scripture says they cannot be counted. We can count 104,000 for the 12 out of every tribes, but when we come to the nations, they could not be counted. They were so numerous. Well, this is beautiful because this is the grace of God. Eh? We cannot phantom his grace. No, we'll be surprised. So anyways, so now we're entering into now the second parenthesis in chapter 11. Well, it actually started at chapter 10, but 10 and 11 up to 14 is the second parenthesis. And what we're getting in there, the closer we're getting to God dealing with Israel, or God dealing with the judgment on this earth, Israel will always come on the forefront. And we get that in verse 1. There we get what we call the temple of God and the altar. Okay, so there we're starting to be on Jewish grounds. So Israel is coming in the forefront now. And after he has mentioned about the temple in verse 1 and the altar, but he speaks about the how would I call that? The let's see, I'll get that in my English Bible there. The court. When it gets to the court, there it will be the court. It is said not to measure the court, and measure it not, because it has been given up to the nations. So there we see that the nations, the Gentiles, have come in. Israel is having a restoration. It has its temple, it has its true worshipers, and yet the nations are in the what they call that, the court. The nations are in the court. And then he speaks about in verse 3 of the two witnesses, okay, who will be witnessing for 1,260 days, and they are clothed with sackcloth. That is to say, they're bearing a sorrowful testimony. The two witnesses, they go forward with a message. Now we could speak about the two witnesses. It's hard to say if there will be 2 or 200. Scripture speaks of 2, but in the mouth of 2, everything is brought as forward as truth. So, like I say, we don't know. We don't want to go into that. 2 is a number that speaks of powerful witness. And these 2 persons will go out, and they are compared to olive trees and 2 lamps, which stand before the Lord of the earth. Now, this is the most important point here. The number of witness, not important. They stand before the Lord of the earth. The Lord is coming in judicial character, and he is going to be the Lord of the earth. And this is what these two witnesses are bearing testimony to. The Lord is coming, and the Lord is the owner of the earth. He is the Lord of the earth. And these witnesses will be empowered. They will be able to do certain things, like these have power. I'm reading verse 6. These have power to shut the heaven, that no rain may fall during the days of their prophecy. So that reminds us of Elijah. So Elijah was in a time of idolatry. It will be the same there in the future days. Idolatry will be building up more and more. And these witnesses have this character, this power of shutting rain not to fall. Okay. And the other witness is like Moses. How does it say in verse 6? And they have power over the waters to turn them into blood. This makes me think of Moses when he crossed the Red Sea. Now, I think it speaks here of the nations now, because Israel will be more and more subject to the nations. On one hand, there will be idolatry raising up, and on the other hand, the Gentile will have a greater power over them. But these two testimony will bear witness that the one they are preaching is the Lord of the earth. Now, for the first time in verse 7, we get the mention of the beast. And I can read to you verse 7. And when they shall complete their testimony, the testimony is Jesus is the Lord of the earth, and he's coming to reign over this earth. So that's their testimony. He's coming in power. He came in grace, but he's coming in power now. So then we have in verse 7, and when they shall have completed their testimony, the beast, mentioned the beast, who comes out of the abyss, shall make war with them, and shall conquer them, and shall kill them. There we have the mention of the beast. Now, the beast actually happens in chapter 13, verse 1 to verse 10. It's the political beast. It's the one that is that Satan has given him all his power, all his throne. It's a political leader. So the beast here is not happy. His origin is from, it says here that his origin comes out of the abyss. It's a devilish source. This beast is not happy because he's a political person. He's a political emperor that wants to control the earth. Now, this is nothing new. This has happened under Charlemagne. He wanted to revive the Roman Empire. Then came Napoleon. He did the same. But these men could never gather together the Roman Empire. But here we have the beast mentioned. He's a political leader, a powerful leader, and he wants to control. Okay? But now, these two witnesses are in his way. They are proclaiming there is one that is Lord over the earth. Well, this leader here doesn't like that. The beast doesn't like that, because then he doesn't want to admit there is one who will rule the earth. No, he wants himself to be the ruler of the earth. He's a political beast. He wants to control. And of course, what he does, he will kill these two witnesses. And once he does that, then he is free to continue. And then we see that there are two types of people are mentioned here in chapter 11. In verse 9, we hear about the people, the tribes, and those different languages, different nations. So that's one group. And then we get to verse 10, and they that dwell upon the earth rejoice over them, and they shall give gifts one to another. So on one hand, we have all these nations that see these things happening, but those who rejoice the most are those that dwell, verse 10, those that dwell upon the earth, rejoice over them. They are called earth dwellers. We will see them a few times in Revelation. They love the earth. They don't want to be disturbed. They don't want to hear about Christ coming. They don't want to hear, especially if he's going to reign. As long as the world is a happy place for them, morally, they are the dwellers of the earth. And they will, of course, be happy that the two witnesses have been killed. But then in verse 12, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying to them, come up here. So these two testimonies, these two witnesses are called back to heaven. And then there is a judgment that comes in. There was in verse 13 a great earthquake, and the tenth of this city fell, and 7,000 of men were slain. And the remnant were filled with fear and gave glory to the God of the heaven. It's not the God of the earth, remember. The Lord of the earth is coming, but they render a false recognition. They gave glory to the God of heaven. As long as God is far away, they will acknowledge a certain power in heaven, but their hearts are not changed. They will not subject themselves to the Lord of the earth, but they will give glory to the God of heaven. Stay away. Stay away. So this is what is happening during that chapter 11. So that will just be like a spotlight. That's what I call a spotlight. That gives you a good vision of how it's going to be done. Okay, so I trust you enjoy these things. And just to sum up, when the judgments are coming in closer, Israel will come in predominance. We hear of the altar, we hear of the temple, and then we hear of the two witnesses, and then we get their testimony that it is the Lord, let's call that, the Lord of the earth. That's their testimony, the Lord of the earth. And these two witnesses are rejected, and the people, the earth dwellers, they are happy, they give gifts to everybody, and they just give glory to the God of heaven, the God is far away. So they have not really been touched. Their conscience is not really touched. So that's too bad, but that's the way it's going to be. So that's good for now, and we hope you enjoyed that. And make sure you subscribe. As soon as you subscribe, you will get a notice of the next event that will be on, the next posting, the next video. And trust this has not been too long. So the Lord be with you. Peace.